Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I'm speaking to those on YouTube and to those on Patreon now because we've got another builder, and for the month of May I want to add to the strategy guide something very special. It's going to be a brand new and very generic meta arm rush that brings meta arms back into the meta ever so slightly. Meta arms right now are not a bad strat, but it's just not a good strat either. Basically it gets counted by archers quite easily, and at higher level at least it just doesn't really work out too well. But that is because we're doing the meta arm builder old school. It's the only builder that's still old school. All the other builders, archers, scouts, they've gotten modernized, but the meta arms is still being done old school, and I'm here to change that. This is the brand new modern meta arm build, and I'm going to be, of course, breaking it down for you guys today. We're going to be rocking the Magyars, which is a civilization with no eco bonus, so this is the bare minimum, and we're going to be doing an 18 vil or 19 pop meta arm rush. This is not an easy builder to do, but it's even harder to defend it. So remember that. It's hard for you to do it, but you have to practice it, and your opponent will have a really hard time defending it, especially if they don't know what you're going to be going for and they haven't seen this video. It's a really big advantage to know how strong your meta arm rush will hit, and if they don't know that, that is going to be a very, very big problem for them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop right in, and I'll show you guys how the build is done. So we start all standard with the 2 houses and a regular dark cage. Keep in mind, this builder is slightly more advanced than your average builder. We will be actually luring deer here. And I tried the build without luring deer. It's still possible, but it's really not as strong. Cool trick, by the way. You can actually jump your villager to save that walking time. Nice little tip you guys are learning here. So, yeah, it's not something that works without luring deer, to be honest. You have to at least lure 1 deer, I would say. But I think it's entirely possible. If you're not at the stage where you're luring deer, then check out some of my, simpler builders, some of my simpler strategies that don't need luring deer, and you'll be more than fine. Or hey, just do it without deer, and who cares? That's also another option. But for the build to work properly, you kind of rely on the deer. Actually, if you get elephants, you probably don't need the deer, but you don't always get them. So I'll just show you how it looks like with 1 or 2 deer, and then we'll also have time to scout our opponent. If you're luring deer and you realize you don't have time to scout your opponent, you're doing dark age wrong. You're probably scouting inefficiently, so we have to work on your scouting, keep that scout active and moving. Okay, so it's 6 on food, standard stuff. Then we go 3 to wood, also quite standard there. And it's really cool what's gonna happen. So now I'm gonna start pushing in my deer. I'm still missing 2 sheep, but I'm just gonna take a mental note and find those 2 sheep later. It's really cool what's going to happen here, because the first difference of this meta arm build is that we're actually going to make a house with this villager right here. This is completely different than any other build that I do, basically. And the reason you do that is because we're not going to make a mill. So normally I say make a house and make a mill. But since we're not making a mill, you're just going to slap down the house as part of your wall near the wood line instead. Now I'm going to be bringing in my deer, and at the same time also going to get a boar. Notice I added 1 more on food as well. This is part of it. And now we continue adding on food under the TC, because of course we're not going to make a mill, and so this is why you absolutely need deer, because we're not going to make a mill. So the whole point is that instead of the mill, we have extra hunt under the TC. And notice I already made my house, so I don't have to worry about making a house or sending any vil out. So it's actually quite easy to follow this build. Everything to food, turn the brain off, and go meta arms. Simple as that. At least for now, that's what we're going to be cooking and going for here. Alright, those guys can go back over to the rhino. That is perfect. I forgot to mention as well, if you guys are watching this on YouTube and you have no idea about my strategy guide, you have no idea what it's even about, basically I have a strategy guide for my Patreons and my Twitch subscribers, and I add a new strategy to it every week, and sorry, every month. Every week would be crazy. Every month it would be absolutely wild to do it every week, but every month is pretty good. We have around like 14 right now in the guide, and if you want to get access to it, it's obviously paywall, but if you get a sub on my Twitch channel and join my Discord, that's one way, or you subscribe to Patreon, that is the better way, because on Patreon I also upload a video tutorial of every single build. So you get the text, the PDF, the guide in color-coded PDF, and then you also get the guide as video format, which is really cool. Not everything makes it to YouTube, only some. The special ones go to YouTube usually. Alright, so here, as you notice, I'm going to go for my barracks as my second building, and you want to do this exactly like 2 pop before you click loom. So we're going to do 18 vills or 19 pop. Then we go for loom. Very important. So you want to get the barracks at around 17 pop. And I've actually lured in 3 deer. But I won't take the last one. So I showed you that you can lure it. And then you just go scout. So you have time to lure all 3. And then you go scout to find your last, you know, whether it's 2 sheep or just find your opponent. That's fine. And take a look at this. We're going to have exactly 500 food here. There we go. And the rest of the food will go towards the men-at-arms. You can already start making them. And here's a really cool part that I actually have to pause for. Normally, if you make a mill and you make your barracks, you don't have the wood for the mining camp. This is why men-at-arm builds cannot go this fast. But since we skipped the mill and we still have some food under the TC, we can just make the mining camp with the 100 wood we have. And we basically save ourselves 100 wood in the early game. We're of course going to need a mill later on because we need to make some farms, of course. But at least for now, we can skip it and make the rush even faster. At this point, what you want to do is also take 3 vills off of food and send them to wood. Actually, you want to send vills from food to wood until you have 8 on wood. It's the magic number for 1 lumber camp. We can't afford more lumber camps. And then you go scout your opponent. In this case, obviously, I know where he is. But you have a decent, like, 1 or 2 minutes to scout your opponent. And that is luring 3 deers. I didn't use the last one, but I still lured it to take up the time. You can obviously do just 2 deers to give yourself a bit more time yourself. Go for the 3rd militia like normal. And take a look at this. The militia is coming out early so that you can send them across the map. And then by the time Feudal Age comes in, you already have the men-at-arm upgrade. Take a look at how much I'm scouting. Obviously, I know he's here, but let's pretend he's not. I can still scout a decent amount of the map. And I still will probably know where my opponent is in good time. At this point, you want to send 1 vill to go ahead and make your mill. I don't like to do the range before the mill because it leads to too many problems. So I like to make, let's say, a house, then a mill here. Very important. And you don't have to memorize all of this. If you get access to the PDF document, it's all color-coded and ready for you guys. So it's not a memorization game. And here we just pick up men-at-arms and double bit-axe. This is Magyars. 0 bonus for this. 0. And look at this. 9 minutes. I have men-at-arms outside my opponent's base. I have free village production that is going to be consistent. And I have double bit-axe. And I'm already transitioned to berries. I'll be ready to drop a range very soon. It's so strong. I really love this men-at-arm builder. And I'm going to show you how it looks like a little bit more after you bring out a few archers. I'm going to do the builder to like the mid of Feudal Age. Of course, now you'd harass your opponent's berries. You do so much damage. He's an ally, so I can't actually do too much to him. And yeah, like normal, you just continue your build. And now at this point, when the food under the TC runs out, you're gonna have to transition to berries. This is the most tight part of the builder. You might have some idle time. But again, if you have an eco bonus civ, you probably won't have any idle time. This is the bare minimum that you get for such a fast rush. Now you start making some archers. You probably need to go forward to gold. So the reason why we don't go forward to gold right away is we need to send first on food. You can actually drop off a little to mitigate the idle time, by the way, if you want to. And then we go forward to gold once I have vill production. I know I have vill production because I have 7 on food. And that's actually usually enough for your town center. And you go forward to gold and you have archer production. So take a look at that. You have your men-at-arm rush coming at literally 9 minutes. 2 minutes later, I already have my first archer made, making more. And now I've completely stabilized Feudal Age. Now I'm going to go back to regular Feudal Age ideas. Like, for example, 1 vill to make houses and walls on this side. And 1 vill to make houses and walls on this side. And then once I have 4 on gold, I don't need any more for archer production from 1 range. So I go back to making some farms. This is really good information I'm dishing out right now. Make sure you guys are soaking this all in. Or at least paying attention to how the order of operations is for the game. It's almost like a math equation in some way, but it's a fun math equation. It's a good math equation. It's just like the order of priorities, we'll call it. And there you go. Keep making archers. You can send them forward to the men-at-arms if you want to. You can also like prioritize a blacksmith instead of farms. Like you don't have to constantly make farms. You can also just send 1 more to wood and make a blacksmith to get fletching. At this point, I have a good amount of food to sustain vill production and save up for blacksmith or for fletching. So now blacksmith will be nice. I can make a couple walls and make it here. This guy can go ahead and continue walling here. So your base is naturally coming together beautifully. You have a lot of archers going across the map. You have still your men-at-arms may or may not be alive. You know, it's up to the situation. And you're going to have fletching coming in anytime soon. Come on. There we go. And we continue walling. There we go. Beautiful. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. And I'm always making archers when I need to. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of the build loader. From here, you can carry it to Castle Age. I don't like to carry my modern build loaders to Castle Age because a lot can change here. You have a bunch of options, truly. And this is something I also note in the build loaders and the strategies. I don't just end it off like that. I also give you guys a few options, and I will be giving you guys a few options in this video. From this position, you have a ton of options. You can full wall your base and go for crossbow if you have a crossbow-based civ. You can also, if you have a cavalry-based civ like the Magyars, you can make a few archers and then just switch to a stable here in a second. I'll be able to afford a stable, make a few scouts, send them forward, and that's going to be like scouts, archers, which is the best feudal age comp that can lead into knights, which is quite nice. You also have another couple options, which is to make a market, sell your stone and go up fast and go for an all-in push. Or what I really like to do is just wall up and then see what my opponent's doing and try to counter it. With my main idea just being crossbows. One thing I really want to talk about as well, in this vulnerable state where right now like you're walling, you don't know what your opponent's doing, you can just make a couple spears to defend yourself. And if your opponent attacks you by surprise with archers, just make a tower. You have a tower. You can bail yourself out. If he attacks you and you're like, oh, Hera told me to wall and I didn't, like, oh, I'm gonna lose. No, hey, wake up, wake up. Pick Bulgarians. I'm kidding. Inside joke. If you know, you know. But yeah, it's like if your opponent catches you off guard, gets into your base, you make a tower. All right, make a tower, secure one of your areas. At least you can mitigate some damage. Then you can bring your army back and deal with it. Okay. So even in this state where you're a bit vulnerable at home, because obviously everything's going forward, you can still make a tower, and you have your army forward. So while he's attacking you, you'll be attacking him. If you tower and stay safe, and he doesn't, you probably win the game. So obviously, in these aggressive builders where we're attacking, keep it in your mind, you could always make a tower to bail yourself out of a defensive situation. And yeah, that's going to be it. You have a ton of options from here. More archers. You can go second range if you want to. You can add a stable. My favorite is just wall up, make farms, and go castle, because whoever gets faster castle has a huge advantage for many reasons. I think I made a video about that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check me out on Patreon or Twitch if you guys want to get access to the builder documents and support me further. And let me know in the comments what builder you guys want next. I'll show you guys the uptimes real quick. This is a perfect uptime for 18 vills. So 850. Again, it's not easy. It's not easy to do. But as you can see, for me, it's really easy. I practice a lot, and you know, I practice Dark Age a lot, and I get like a perfect time pretty much every time. So if you practice a little bit, it might not look as smooth, but with an eco bonus civ, you'll have even a better time than I did with the Magyars. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.